connected? We are connected and we are good to go. Welcome, welcome. Now, what if I told you there were universal laws that either help or hinder your bank account? In this video, I'm going to explain 4 of these universal laws and how you can use them to help you earn more money, keep more money, and grow your money. So, for those of you who are here, let's get right into it. And can you hear me? Because I'm just starting this and don't know if anyone can hear me. But welcome, welcome. Universal laws that decide your bank balance. Actually, I gotta send this to the Telegram chat so they know we're live. That might be okay. So that's that, and we are good to go. Hi, Faith. Welcome back. All right. Universal laws that decide your bank balance. Now, there's 7 laws that govern the universe in Hermeticism. They are mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, and gender. If you see my channel, I've spoken about these before. Thank you. Cool. Wallow said they're doing OF and branding off. Thank you. Branching off. Hey, man, that's what I did. I was a manager in that industry. I'm actually going to talk about that a bit. So good for you. All of these laws have some effect on the amount of money you have. All 7 of these laws. But some have more effect than others. Now, before I talk, proof, because why should you even bother listening to me if I don't know what I'm talking about and haven't gotten any results for anyone? So these are a couple of results I've gotten from my clients over here. The other day, one of my clients closed close to a $2,000 sale with a PDF document, a 1-page PDF document. Another client of mine did $20,000 in a week. He did around $60,000 in a month. And then sales here, job promotions here, $4,500 sale there. So I have assisted people in earning money, keeping money, and growing money. And I've also done it for myself. Your first case study is always you. So the 4 laws that we're going to talk about are mentalism, vibration, polarity, and gender. In my opinion, these are the most important laws when it comes to earning money. And these are the laws that affect your bank balance the most. Queen Bee in the building. Hi, hi. These affect your bank balance the most. So let's start with mentalism. First Hermetic law of the universe. You get paid according to your mental creativity. Notice I didn't say from your creativity, because if something is coming from something, it is losing that particular thing. When you're creative, you don't lose creativity. You have an abundant, infinite amount of creativity. So you get paid according to your mental creativity, not just from your mental creativity. Can you generate ideas? Yes, you can. What do you know? You know something. If you have ever been paid, it is because you know how to do a particular thing. Even if it's flip burgers at Burger King or run the till at the aquarium at the food and beverage department like I did. Or wrap burritos at Chipotle like I also did. What do you know? And what can you envision yourself doing in the future? Oh, why are we stuck? Okay. Everything in reality was once an idea in someone's mind, including money. Money is just an idea. Money is a form of consciousness, okay? It was once a mental thing, a mental idea, and that's a whole other discussion. I think I do have a video on the origins of money. I think it's in my $100,000 business video. That's a Blackboard video. I think I talk about more how like the origins of money occur and how people get paid, essentially. It's all an idea. So if you can see it in your mind's eye, you can see it in your reality. If you can envision yourself doing something in your mind's eye, it can happen in reality, because all reality is simply ideas. This microphone was an idea. This whole live stream is an idea. All the equipment necessarily to make it is an idea. Words are an idea. It's all mental stuff projected in physical form in the universe. Now, what you need to understand is that money is an inner game. Most of money and earning money is about you internally. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And money is a values game. If you don't value earning money, you're not going to earn a lot of money. People who value earning money, they earn a lot of money. People who value financial independence do the things to become financially independent. So if you value these things, you will do them. This is from Bob Proctor. He says, success is 5% strategy and 95% mindset. And I agree with that. So, mentalism. Let me see if... One second. Okay, well, hopefully I'm back. Hopefully it works. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I paid too much for internet for this to be freezing. So that's not cool. Okay, we're back. It might freeze one more time because it said I disconnected another time, but we'll get into that. Let me just make sure no one's over here streaming a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. Let's see if we're okay. All right, I'm just going to keep going and hopefully we're not destroyed. One moment, guys. Okay, vibration. Vibration determines the opportunities you see in reality. So the brain only shows you what it thinks it sees based on your frequency. Okay? Now your frequency influences your reticular activation system, or the RAS as we call it, reticular activation system. That's basically a filter within your brain. It's actually a cacophony of things in your brain that filter out things in your reality, so you see particular things and you don't see other things. So if you have a high value on dogs or your dog, you're going to see all the dog stuff in reality. Me, who doesn't have a dog and might not have a high value on dogs, is not going to see all of that stuff, right? And it's the same thing like when you buy a new car and you start seeing that car everywhere on the road. It's your reticular activation system. Those cars were always there. You just didn't filter for them, right? So that's the reticular activation system, and it's built upon your frequency. It's built upon the recurring thoughts you have in your mind. You have a recurrency of thought, okay? Now, you won't gain or keep money if you're always looking at ways for it to be taken from you. So what do I mean by this? So many people, they don't have a value on earning money. They have a value on spending money, right? Or they have a value on lifestyle. So it's not necessarily earning money or financial independence. They want all the stuff that money can provide. So if that's what you actually value, you're going to look for ways for money to be taken from you because you're looking for ways to spend money all the time. Now, spending money isn't bad. It's not something to judge. It's just something to be aware of. Because if your dream of having a whole bunch of money is to buy things, you're going to already emotional spending. Yeah, you're going to already spend the money. You're going to already do it, right? You're already doing it if you have a value on things and you have a value on lifestyle. So that's what happens to a lot of people. A lot of people on the internet, a lot of influencers and stuff like that, they have a value on lifestyle, and they rack up tremendous amounts of debt and tremendous amount of financial problems for lifestyle. So they don't necessarily value financial independence, right? That's a frequency thing. And it can change, just depending on if your values change. And your values can change. You could have kids, or something could happen in your life, or you see something happen to someone else, or someone inspires you and your values change. It's possible. So the money in your bank is a vibratory match with what you think is a normal baseline. You think this is normal for my life. I pay my rent, I pay my bills, I buy my groceries, it costs this much. It's normal, it's regular, you're used to it. This is how frequency is created. And that's why for a lot of people it's hard to break, because it's habitual and it's normal and it's what you expect of life. Now, if your frequency doesn't change, because here's the thing, you can gain a lot of money or lose a lot of money, right? You can go online and listen to all the people who teach you manifestation techniques to earn money. You can become a vibratory match to a lot of money. But if your frequency stays where it is, you will lose that money. Or you might lose a bunch of money and go back up to your vibratory match, to your frequency baseline. So whether you gain a lot of money or lose a lot of money, you will return to vibrational baseline. You'll return, right? Also has to do with the law of rhythm, but not talking about that here. Now, polarity. This is very important. Lottery winners are a great example. Exactly. Because the lottery winner, their frequency was never one of having a whole bunch of money and knowing how to manage that and knowing how to deal with that and the emotions around that. And that's why a massive percentage of lottery winners go bankrupt, because they never understood how to deal with that level of money. They weren't a vibratory match to it. So sometimes slow and steady is the way, guys, because when you're on the slow and steady path to get the things you want or to earn more money, you develop the skills along the way. I've had chunks of money come into my life and spent it all off. And then other chunks of money come in and not spend it off, or I make better decisions based on my values for it, right? So polarity, you guys hear me talk about charges all the time, mental charges, etc. So what is your mental charge around money? This determines your frequency baseline, okay? If you have a certain charge around money, which I'm going to get to, there's 8 things that influence this. It determines your baseline. If you think you're undeserving of certain things or you're guilty about certain things, it's going to determine your baseline unless you learn how to cancel that out. It determines how much money you're going to get and how much money you're going to keep and how much money is going to grow even. Big up RTP Lay in the building. Your polarity, your mental charge, has a direct influence on earning more money. Direct. I think it's probably the most potent part because it affects your frequency, has a direct impact on your frequency. Your frequency has a direct impact on your baseline. So all of these things connect, but polarity is especially important. It has a direct influence on your ability to earn money and keep money and grow money. It has to do with your ability to polarize other people, which I'm going to talk to, and your ability to not be polarized yourself. And it determines if you can save money or grow money. You can't save money if you're polarized on having money, which usually comes from guilt. You're not going to grow money if you're polarized on fantasy and want to buy stuff, right? You won't grow your money, you won't invest it. So if you can't save or grow your money, it's either a lack of value on financial independence, which is totally fine. Not everyone has a value on financial independence. Or you have a charge that's preventing you from being a better steward of what you already have. And number 2 in this thing here is usually what it is. People have a charge in the way that prevents them from being a better steward of what they already have. And when you take care of what you have, you get more to take care of, i.e. money. If you manage what you have, you get more to manage. Charges are subconscious. This is the tricky part about them. You don't know them until you actually bring up certain questions that allow you to understand where you've had charges. So they're subconscious. Subconscious is actually more related to the animal mind and your survival instincts. That's why your brain doesn't want you to have to think about the things in your subconscious, because it's for your survival. So if there is a predator coming to attack you, a tiger coming to attack you, your subconscious has already decided that is a bad thing, and it talks to your amygdala, and then your amygdala says that's a bad thing, and all the necessary hormones and neurotransmitters run off, like adrenaline and all these sorts of things set off for you to get out of there. Maybe that tiger didn't mean you any threat, but your subconscious already decided that it has. Right? So you're not getting to decide these things a lot of the time until you bring your subconscious to the surface. You can actually see it. You can actually look at it, examine it. Our subconscious is influenced by our past perceptions and the amygdala. The amygdala, there's actually two of them close to your hippocampus in the brain. Your hippocampus is responsible for memory. Your amygdala is responsible for predator and prey, fear and fantasy, shame and guilt, all the polarized states of your mind that live in your subconscious. Sorry if I'm talking too fast, guys. Class in session. But yeah, it's influenced by past perceptions, your subconscious. Your subconscious has a massive effect on your reality because it's determining your decisions always. At the end of the day, as conscious as you may be, within physical reality, your subconscious still makes the decision. Okay? All right. Just making sure we're all good here. Okay. Now, there are subconscious barriers to wealth. There's 8 of them. And when I work with my clients, I call them the 8 barriers, right? They are shame or guilt, similar vector. Altruism is the opposite of shame. Pride, okay? Narcissism, which is a future vector of pride. Resentment and fear, which is a future vector of resentment. Infatuation and fantasy, which is a future vector of infatuation. Now, with each of these, there are different reasons why they will prevent you from earning money. But let me explain them a bit before we get to the money part of it. So shame and guilt is you thinking you did something bad to someone in the past that had more bad stuff than good stuff. So you did more bad stuff to them than good stuff, or so you perceive. In the future, to compensate for that, because the universe is always balanced, 100% balanced always, otherwise we'd all be gone, okay? To compensate for that from something you perceive in your past, you have a compensation vector in the future of altruism. Giving away things, giving away your money, purchasing things that you didn't even really want to purchase, but you're just parting with your money for some reason. Now, altruism in itself is it's not a bad thing, right? Everyone has these charges to a certain degree. We all have them, everyone. But the more altruistic someone is, the more they're going to part with money, and the more they're not going to keep money. I don't hear anything. Randy said he doesn't hear anything. Randy, you might have turned up your volume, man. Faith, I don't... Randy, are you the only one who can't hear? Yeah, so Faith said she gives her last pennies away. So you probably have a shame or guilt vector that you need to cancel out. And the thing with shame and guilt vectors is like it's something far back in your past from childhood where you felt ashamed about something far, far back in your past and childhood. And these create charges in the future on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Audio skipping. What? Yo, man, I pay too much money for internet for this to be occurring. What the heck, man? See, this is getting me charged up. This is getting me... I'm ashamed that my equipment isn't working. Jeez, man. Crazy. Your audio skipping. Okay, yes, I was too giving. It was a childhood trauma that needed to be healed. Yes, 100%. 100%. So you'll be altruistic. You'll part with money. Okay? Pride. Pride is also from your past. You think you did something better for someone, you did more good for someone than bad in the past, and you're proud about it. So a lot of people are like this with their kids. It's like, look what I did for you. I put you into Kumon and you aced math. Look what I did for you, right? Pride. Now, the future vector of that is narcissism. I'm not talking about the pop psychology narcissism that people talk about when most of the time they're actually the narcissist in that situation. Hermetic narcissism is thinking you deserve something that you don't deserve. Like it's thinking that you're owed something that you don't actually deserve. Think you owe more than you've done, or you're owed more than you've done, right? My audio's perfect, Erica said. My wife texted me. She might be telling me what's wrong with the stream. Hopefully it's okay, though. It depends on the person. Okay, sometimes you need to open, refresh, and reload, it says sometimes. But yes, hermetic narcissism is thinking you're owed things. This will also prevent you from getting money because you have too much pride to do the things necessary to get the money. And people are repelled by narcissism, right? Superiority complex. Yes, that's hermetic narcissism. Resentment. Resentment is something that happens to you. So in the past, someone did something to you that you felt was more bad than good. So what happens now is you have a future compensation vector of fear in the future. Fear is a very big barrier to wealth because you won't take certain risks to earn more money, or you won't take certain risks to speak to certain people, take certain risks to do certain things, because you have resentment in your past from something someone else did to you, and you perceive it as more bad than good. So you have fear in the future. Infatuation also happens to you. Somebody in your past did more good for you than bad for you, and you are infatuated with it. Wow, that was amazing. This creates fantasy in the future. You think there's going to be all upsides and no downsides. Let me tell you something about fantasy. Fantasy is an amazing sales tactic, and when you look over the internet, you'll see it being demonstrated everywhere. Fantasy, fantasy, fantasy. The problem with fantasy is that if your life is not matching the fantasy, you will get depressed. And because depression is a compensation vector for fantasy, guys. The people who have high levels of depression have high levels of fantasy. It's a compensation vector. They think their life is supposed to be a particular way, and it's not. So you get depressed, right? And if you're depressed, it gets a lot more difficult to earn money, okay? Fantasy also causes you to get scammed. You don't use your due diligence. You don't really take in what's going on, and you get scammed. So these are all barriers to wealth, and I'm going to get even deeper into them because these are the charges. When you hear me talk about charges on my channel and you hear me talk about canceling out charges, these are the things I am talking about. Okay? Now, hope y'all took notes on that. People only spend money because of polarity. And I need to explain this to you. Like I said, polarity is very, very important. People only spend money because of polarity. So imagine you work at McDonald's. I used to work at Chipotle. I used to work food and beverage at the aquarium here in Toronto. I've had these sorts of jobs. So people only spend money on polarity. So why does, if you work at McDonald's, why does McDonald's pay you? McDonald's needs workers to get particular things done. That's a pain point for them. That's a polarized state. Pain and pleasure is a polarized state. So McDonald's needs workers to get things done, which puts them in a pain state. You help them solve a pain, so they give you money. You bring them to a pleasure state, so they'll pay you. You need money, right? So this is how you get the money. You need money in a pain state. You help McDonald's solve a problem. They need workers, and you get paid, which brings you to a pleasure state. It's all polarity. Polarity is why money exchanges hands, okay? Money is for solving problems. That's how money exchanges. Whenever you have received money, it has been due to a level of polarity. And I'm going to talk about, even if you got free money, someone just gave you money, I'm going to talk about how it's still polarity, okay? But why do people spend money at McDonald's? People spend money at McDonald's because they're hungry, which is a pain. And McDonald's has food, pleasure, pay them, yay. Cooking takes long. Me, I don't like to cook. Cooking takes too long, too much of my time. I got things to do. Cooking takes too long. It's a pain point for many people. It's a pain point for me. If you love cooking, fantastic. You value cooking. Good, you can make money off of that. McDonald's is fast, which is pleasure. I don't have to take the time to cook. They make the food fast. Healthy food can taste bland to a lot of people, which is a pain vector. McDonald's food tastes good, pleasurable. Now, I don't eat McDonald's. I haven't eaten McDonald's in years, but it's an example that everyone understands because McDonald's is nearly in every single country in the world. Okay? Now, money comes to you when you move a pain polarity to a pleasure polarity for other people. So if you've ever had a job, you have been solving a problem. If you ever made a sale, you're solving a problem. Even if your parents gave you an allowance, for instance, right? Your parents give you allowance because maybe they want you to understand the value of hard work and you don't necessarily understand the value of hard work, which is a pain point for them. So they decide that they will pay you to do chores because you will learn the value of hard work and that will bring them to a pleasure state. So they give you an allowance. Okay? Million Erica says she loves to cook. Great. You value cooking, which means you can make money off of cooking if you value cooking. Whatever you value can be paid from. So, yeah, that's not free money. You worked for it. But let's say, because if you guys know my history and my story and the industry I originally made money from online, I made money as a talent manager in the adult industry, the OnlyFans industry. So a lot of people could sit there and say that these girls just like look pretty and get paid and just get money when it's really not the case. But let's say a beautiful girl walks by some guy and he just decides to give her $100. Here's $100. Oh my goodness, you're so beautiful, right? The pain point for him is that this woman is not paying him any attention. She's not paying him any attention, but in order to get that attention, he pays her some money. And she might acknowledge him for a bit and say thank you, which brings him to a pleasure state. Money is always exchanging due to polarity, okay? There we go. Now, even greater money comes to you when you no longer have the same polarity that you solved for other people. What do I mean by this? I teach people how to earn money online using the laws of the universe. Now, I have solved a lot of things when it comes to money in my life. I'm no longer polarized on them. I used to be in survival mode, right? I was broke for a majority of my life. A lot of you know my story, sleeping on the basement floor, broken, dead, had no money, sick, right? I solved that problem for myself, right? Became a top 1% earner. I don't really worry too much about money. And I teach other people how to earn money now because I've solved the level of polarity around money. If you solve it and you've conquered a level of polarity and you're no longer strung up about money or strung up about fitness, for instance, you can get paid from it. If you're still polarized on it, it's going to be a little harder to get paid from it. Now, polarity has a major influence on your bank balance, a direct effect. Because, like I said before, if you're charged with any of those 8 barriers, it's going to prevent money from coming to you, sticking with you, or growing. Massive influence, right? And one of the biggest things I work on with my clients is crushing those barriers and canceling out those different charges, those 8 charges, because that's really what prevents people from progressing. Finally, fourth law that we're going to talk about is gender. Now, in the universe has masculine and feminine energy. What do I mean by this? You have masculine projection, feminine receiving. This also relates to the law of circulation, which you may have heard of before. Law of circulation is that basically when you give, you get. So you cannot breathe without first giving a breath out. So you breathe out, right, which is a projection, and then you breathe in, which is a receiving. So that's the law of circulation, and it also has to do with gender. Breathing out is a masculine projection, breathing in is a feminine receiving. Speaking is a masculine projection, listening is a feminine receiving. You get the idea. This is constantly happening within the universe, okay? Always happening. Now, you can't get without giving, and you can't give without getting. And I think I talked about this in my live stream last week. When you get, it's because you gave in some particular form. You put a projection out there, you solved the problem for someone, you did something, so you get, right? Even when you give, you get. So let's say you had some altruism, which we all have, and you gave some money to a homeless person. You get good feelings about that. So you have received something, right, from giving something. Now, here's where people get it twisted. The intention of it is important because some people are taught the law of circulation and then they expect to get things back. So they give money to somebody expecting that, yeah, the universe is going to reward me. That's not how you think about it. It needs to come from a genuine place of giving, a place of abundance. If you're giving when you know it's going to put you into a scarcity mentality, you've missed the plot, right? So it has to be with correct intention. For instance, I've had friends in the past, right, who have been in sticky situations and asked me to borrow some money, right? I lent them the money and they say they pay me back, right, with interest. And I lent them the money under the understanding that I likely won't get this back. Like if I'm giving someone money, I assume to not get it back because they're in a tight situation. So I'm being altruistic, right, with my friends, and they're in a tight situation, help them out. I do that. A couple months later, I get hit up by the same friend. Hey man, you really helped me out. I got your money and some. Boom. Right? So that's actually happened in my life. But I always, if I am assisting someone, I do it under the assumption that the money's not coming back. So don't give away anything you can't afford to give away, right? If you're given for kudos, you've also missed the plot. Exactly, exactly. Now, I'm going to give you an example of this because you can't give without getting. So a recent client of mine, right, he's in the fitness niche. He teaches people how to get fit, how to lose weight using a scientific method because he's an engineer. It's pretty cool. And he sold 2 ebooks recently. His ebook's $25, right? And he only has 18 YouTube subscribers. He's new to this. He has 18 YouTube subscribers. 2 people bought the ebook. So that's 11% of his audience. Okay? It's pretty high. If you know anything about online business and online marketing, it's actually very high. Okay? If those numbers persist, when he gets 100 subscribers, 11 people will have bought his ebook. Now, what if one of those people upgrades to work with him for $2,000 to work one-on-one to lose weight? He'll make $2,275 from 100 YouTube subscribers. Guys, 100 YouTube subscribers is not a lot. He made 2 sales with 18. Okay? And that's because he's giving. He's giving. He's putting something into the world. He doesn't even have a lot of views. He has 18 subscribers. I don't think he has a video with more than 200 views. Okay? Maybe not even more than 100. Yet he said the right things to the right people to get 2 sales. Okay? Because he was projecting a message. He was giving without the expectation of instantaneously receiving something. And that's why he got those 2 ebooks sold. When you project the right message to the right people, you get paid. I don't know why it says, okay, yeah, it says, and you'll get paid. I'm like, was my grammar messed up there? That's the Virgo in me being like, why is it wrong? Now, this doesn't only apply to online money. I help people earn money online, but it doesn't only apply to online money. Because getting a job requires a projection. Your resume, how you show up to the interview, how you dress, how you speak, how you look. These are all projections. These are all a giving element, right? And when you do the job, you are giving your effort and your time and your intelligence to the employer, so you get paid. And like I said, even getting free money requires projection. That beautiful girl has projected something to that guy who just gave her $100. She's projected an image. She doesn't have to look like that. She can make herself look worse. Some women actually do make themselves look worse to get less attention from men, right? I knew a girl who was a client of mine in the music industry. She worked at a club as a bartender, a gentleman's club as a bartender. And she said she would not dress up. She would dress as pop down as she could because she did not want the men to bother her, right? She was trying to change her projection to not get attention. She was trying to receive less, right? So your polarized charges directly affect your ability to receive, which is feminine energy, right? Faith says she's done that. She's tried to reduce her appearance to not get attention, right? Queen Bee said, Virgos. Right. So your polarized charges directly affect your ability to receive. And receiving is feminine energy. Guys, when you get income, when you get money, it's a feminine vector. This is another reason why most millionaires and billionaires are married. Okay? They're married. When you combine that masculine and feminine energy and you get that, balancing of the polarities, it equates into more abundance. right? And there's many other reasons as to why that happens, but on a universal law level, it's the balancing of polarities that allows more money to come in, right? The feminine energy. Now, this is a little small, but these are the 8 charges again. Shame and guilt. If you have shame and guilt, you won't accept money. Oh no, I can't get paid for that. I can't do that. No, I'm not doing that. I'll do it for free. No. Right? Shame and guilt. Altruism. You'll give away what you have. Like I said, you have shame and guilt, so you need to compensate for that by giving things away. Pride. You're too cool to get the money. Way too cool. You know some people like this. Nah, I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm too cool for that. I can't be bothered with that. No. Right? Narcissism. You won't want to do what's required to get the money because you're entitled, because you had pride in the past. Resentment. You'll be too bitter towards the money to get it. You'll be like, nah, I don't like that. No, that's not cool. I'm resentful towards that. I don't like that. I don't want to get that money. Right? Fear. You'll be too scared to project value into the world, or too scared of so much other things to earn more money. Even trying to get a promotion, or asking for a raise, or setting up an online business, or even getting like some people like are in situations where they need to get another job and it would assist their life a lot, but they won't do it, right? Because of fears or prides, usually. So you'll be too scared to project value into the world. Infatuation. You'll be too needy to get the money. Okay, when you're infatuated with something, you really, really want it and you're needy. And if you've been around needy people, they're repulsive. You don't want to be around needy people. It's not an attractive vector, and money is not attracted to neediness. Okay? And people aren't attracted to neediness. And fantasy. You'll be depressed about money, or you'll get scammed if you're in a fantasy state. So the key with all of this is to be as centered as you possibly can. Now, none of us are ever 100% centered. Okay? If you're 100% centered on everything in the universe, then you can manipulate the universe instantaneously. You're essentially the all-energy God, Brahma, Allah, the Big Bang. You are, that is within you, but you will be acting in the way that energy acts instantaneously if you have zero charge. Because the initial creation spark of the universe has zero charge. Chargeless, massless, spaceless, timeless. Okay? That's the initial creation spark of the universe. Remember those 4 things: timeless, spaceless, massless, chargeless. The more you have less time, less space, less mass, less charge in relation to whatever it is you're doing, you'll earn more money. Okay? The world isn't ready for that. And Faye said she's experienced all of these. We all have experienced all of these because they are all human polarized traits. We all have them, right? We all have them. Shame and guilt is a big one. Shame and guilt is usually one of the bigger oppressors, and fear. Those two, I think, are the biggest charges I see amongst people. And I want you guys to pay attention to something. I want you to look into the world and see the people who have less shame and how much money they have. I want you to see if you create a correlation with that. Because people will judge them, and people will be like, let's bring back shame. And everyone has shame, so it's just a polarizing vector. It's just a balancing vector, these people. But the people who have less shame get paid. From a girl who does OF and has put herself out there and people will shame her, she has the potential to get paid a lot. To a billionaire who is having children dig up cobalt in Africa, which many people will shame them for and say they're wicked and evil and terrible, right? But they're less charged on it. They have less shame about it, so they'll get money from it. Now, that's not to say either one of these things is right or wrong. Either one of these things is right or wrong. That's judgment. That's polarized judgment. People do what they do. People do what they value. But understand, if you have high levels of shame and guilt, it will be harder for you to earn money. People even have too much shame or guilt to try and make a sale or get on a sales call or ask for a raise or these sorts of things. Shame and guilt in the way. You don't want to feel shame. You don't want to feel guilt. You don't want people to say bad things about you. But I want you to understand something. The level of love you receive is also the level of hate you receive. The level of people who have great things to say about you will be the level of people who have shameful things to say about you. And the more you can handle that, the greater you can move up in life, right? So be very aware of those 8 charges, and that is how they affect your money. Okay? Now, receiving money is a balance of masculine projection and feminine receiving. I always do this thing, this balancing scale thing. Whatever. So receiving money, it's a balance of masculine projection and feminine receiving. So if you're overly charged on both masculine, if you're overly charged on either one of the poles, you'll be out of whack and it'll be harder for you to earn money. So this has happened to women a lot in today's day and age. A lot of women have accessed like tremendous amounts of masculine energy, a lot of projection, a lot of competing with men because you've had to compete with men in the workplace, etc., and boss up, right? So there's a masculine projection, and sometimes that hardens people and makes them unable to receive because the feminine energy is getting derailed, it's getting oppressed, right? Rather suppressed, because suppression is not knowing that it's happening. Oppression is purposely doing it, right? So that happens. But if you're able to cancel out some charges, likely around shame or around resentment, usually resentment is something I find a lot with some of the female clients I work with. If you're able to cancel out charges around resentment, that masculine energy will start to balance out with feminine energy. All right. Now, mental projection also helps this, the law of gender. So envision the ideal version of yourself, and I teach this, right? Envision the ideal version of yourself and do what they would do, because you could actually do it now. If you look at some of my other live streams, I talk about that. Envision what your ideal self would do. Would they wake up early? Would they work out? Would they eat a particular way? Would they do certain things in the world? How do they make money? You can actually start doing all of these things now, right? It's not too much competing. It's survival on one's own. Life is expensive. Yes, I agree with that, right? There's a lot of things that are interfering with people's ability to receive, particularly with feminine energy, right? Because life hits people, right? So, yeah, projection, and do what that ideal projection of yourself would do. And that is that. We can move on to some questions. Sorry about the live stream tripping out, guys. Like, I don't know what that was all about, but like I said, I paid too much for internet for that to be happening. Now, I'm going to look through the chat. If you guys have any questions, please throw them in there about anything we spoke about, anything you need help with, anything in terms of charges you need cancellation around, any of that stuff. Also, guys, I want to let you know, so my program, The Next Realm, where like I guide people through a lot of this stuff to help them earn money and whatnot, there's a lot of big changes coming to it, probably by the end of this week. And there's going to be a special price for a particular amount of time. It's going to be, I'll say it's going to be far less than it is now. And if you want to make sure that you get that price point, sign up for my email list. You'll get it if you get my Value Finder tool. Sign up for my email list and just reply to the first email you get, or reply to any email you get from me with, you can just say Next Realm Special or special. Just text me the word special or message me the word special. If you're in my Telegram channel, same thing. If you're in my Telegram channel, just click my picture, right? Message me the word special, and I'll reserve the price for you. Okay? So, just thought I'd say that. So if you guys don't have the Value Finder, get the Value Finder. I'll be able to have your email and whatnot. If you're not in my Telegram channel, get on my Telegram channel, and you can message me from there. All right. Another fab story. Faith has another fab story. Need to master these laws now. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time studying these things, the Kabbalion, and not just the universal laws and like Hermeticism, but science, biology, psychology, these type of things. I'm a polymath guy. I'm interested in learning and knowledge and that type of stuff. Froze emotional spending. Yes, all spending is actually emotional. Um, Guys, at the end of the day, all spending is actually emotional because all spending comes from a polarized state. All spending. So it's just a matter of how swung up your emotions are that are going to determine if you are going to spend off all your money, right? And my wife just texted me something that was very insightful, actually, that I didn't realize. Life being expensive is actually a it's a belief. It's a subjective belief, right? Because what I determine as expensive is not expensive to someone else. And what I determine as cheap is not cheap to someone else. I remember when, like $1,000 was like, whoa, this is way too much money, right? Now $1,000, I'm like, it's all right, right? Even 10K, depending on what it is, you know what I mean? So it is actually it's amygdala based belief, all right? So if you're able to conquer that and be like, it's only this. This is a word I like to help people to start like tricking their subconscious. It's only 10 grand. It's only 20 grand. It's only $1 million house. If you start saying that, it's going to start tricking your subconscious because your subconscious, like I said, it's polarized, right? So you have a ease vector and a hard vector when it comes to your subconscious. So if your subconscious sees something as hard, it wants to avoid it. If it sees something as easy, it's more likely to want to get it. So if you use the word only, you're tricking that ease side of the subconscious and you'll be like, oh yeah, it's easy. And then you will find more ways to make it easy to bring things into your life, right? Right. All right. Well, I've never heard of any of this. Oh wow, great. That's good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Classes in session. I give my last pennies away. Yes, that's a shame vector from altruism. Altruism. Okay, I was too giving. It was a childhood trauma that needed to be healed. Yes, it's always where it comes from. It's something far back in your past, usually under the age of 8. There's something there that occurred that has created charges. And once you have charges, they compound upon one another constantly. So if you had a shame as a child, it evolves into a shame going forward and forward and forward and forward and forward, right? Into all these other situations. So if you were ashamed as a kid for speaking your mind, right? Now you get put in a situation where you should have spoken your mind later on in your life and you didn't speak your mind, and now you have another charge, resentment, because you should have spoke your mind. Now that you have the resentment, you have a fear vector in the future that another person is going to not listen to you when you say something, or you shouldn't say what you think to them because something bad's going to happen. So you have a fear vector, right? So all of this stuff gets connected all the way from back in your childhood somewhere, right? Um, what else? I am a truth teller. Well, thank you. I try. I had a mentor one time. He said the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. And that's also a belief, but I found it to be a little true for me. Like sometimes I'll learn things about the universe and I'll be like, why? Why? Left and came back. I can hear you now. Okay, so if you can't hear me, just refresh the page, basically. Superiority complex. Yes, that comes from narcissism. Sense of entitlement also comes from narcissism. This is running rampant in our world right now. Entitlement, superiority complexes, uh, narcissism. Essentially, it's running rampant because of the way social media is built, and people have pride vectors and want to be proud of themselves, and it's causing a lot of narcissism. And people think they're supposed to get things that they're really not supposed to get. They didn't do the things necessary to get it, and then they get depressed. Oh, I put my post on social media, nobody said it, and nobody saw it. In fact, someone said something bad on it. Oh no. Now I think the whole world hates me, even though it was really 5 people. The whole world hates me, and I'm going to tuck away in my shell, and have resentment and fear of ever showing up in the world again. Okay? Or I'm supposed to be seen by more people, and now I'm upset, and now I have resentment and anger and these sorts of things because I'm supposed to be seen by more people, which is narcissism, right? So be very careful of that. Financial risk aversion comes from fear. Queen Bee says she cooks with wine, even put it in my food. There we go. The light bulb always goes off with these talks. Great. That is good to hear. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. I am going to get to the questions that are popping up now. I'm just looking through the chat a bit. And I still, we're at a size where I can still really answer everyone's question. Because eventually, mark my words, this will be huge. So use it while you can, right? I lost people I love when I increased my income as a child through working. Yes, this will happen. This is another vector that prevents people from evolving because they're afraid of who they have in their life already leaving them. So a lot of the time, this is self-sabotage, right? It comes from a charge. You self-sabotage because you don't actually want your life to change. You might say you do, but saying and acting are different. Saying and doing are different. People can say things all the time. At the end of the day, your words will be tested. Always. Your words will always be tested eventually. So if you don't walk the talk eventually, then you're just going to stay the same, right? So be honest with yourself and ask yourself, am I not taking particular actions to change my life because I don't want my life to change? We're all guilty of this. There's aspects of my life that I don't want to change. For instance, I could be more fit, but I don't want to work out every day. Right? So I am purposely deciding for that to happen, even though I could be more fit, right? Put on more muscle, whatever it is, right? But I don't want to work out every day. So I don't do it, right? We're all guilty of it. It's another thing I want everyone to understand. Every trait in existence you already have within you. There is a way you demonstrate it somewhere. We all procrastinate on things, but there are other things you don't procrastinate on. There are people, you look at them, you're like, oh my gosh, they're super disciplined, they're amazingly disciplined. You're just disciplined somewhere else in your life. Maybe you have kids and you wake up every morning and make them breakfast and make their lunch and bring them to school, and you're disciplined. You don't miss it, right? But you're not disciplined with going to the gym because you don't care about it. You procrastinate on the gym because you don't care about it, right? We have every trait within us. It's just demonstrated in other ways. Okay. Need to change that belief. It's not so much competing. Is it possible to have a replay? Yes, the replay will be uploaded to my channel. I relate to the internet problem. Yes. Which of your offerings is best to start off with? I am in the spiritual void and have created my own quantum mindset code to do my inner work. Well, I would say the new version of the Next Realm that I'm launching is probably the best thing to do. Yeah, it's probably the best. It'll give you basically everything I teach, you'll have access to. And the way I'm building the Next Realm now is to get a result within 90 days, right? Use the Hermetic laws to start making money within 90 days. So, yeah. But you can wait until the special offer arrives because I'm still working on it. It should be done tomorrow or Saturday, but I still have some things to change with it. My fab story, I got declined for a credit card and one arrived in the past 2 days after. Low-key, Faith is a credit whisperer. Low-key, Faith is a credit whisperer. And I'm using it responsibly. Fantastic. Fantastic. As I earn more, I have to remember to calm down so I emotionally spend. Yeah, this is lifestyle creep. Everyone has dealt with it. A lot of people have dealt with it, especially if you don't yet have a higher value on financial independence. And this also happens to a lot of people who didn't grow up with money. So I didn't grow up with money. When I got money, I'm like, I want to do everything I couldn't do. I'm going on the best flights. I'm going to the best part of the hotel. I'm buying expensive clothes that I'm only going to wear one time. I'm buying 2 expensive steaks. I'm booking out the back room of the big time restaurant. I'm spending all the money, right? because it's polarity. I came from so low that I wanted to experience higher things, right? So it was all emotional, all emotional. But then that happens, and if you no longer become charged on it, then you get a little more centered, and my values changed. I value financial independence more now. A lot of that spending, although necessary to get me to where I am mentally now, it was vapid. Like it didn't really do anything. We had some good times. My wife and I had some great time. But a lot of it was like vapid. A lot of it was like, for me at least, was like whatever. When I think about it now, even like cars and stuff. I used to want supercars like so bad. Now I don't really care. And that's just my values. That's not me trying to project them onto you. If you want supercars, if you want a Ferrari, get a Ferrari. I don't care. you know? So, just watch your emotions. I think that's Katara. Nice. I just cleared the resistance and it appeared. Yeah, there you go. Yes, I've been practicing only. Yes, practice only. It is a very good subconscious trick. I want you to drive through or walk through an expensive area and just start guessing what the houses cost and say, "Oh, that's only 20 million? Really? Only 20 million? You think it'd be 25? You really think it'd be 25? It's only 20 million. Wow. That's interesting." You know, you got to approach it like that. It's got to be like easy, right? I've been practicing only. I say that. Yep. Q. I don't want my life to change. Oh, yep. That's how it goes. I do, though, consciously. I really do. Yes, consciously, you might want your life to change, but your subconscious does not want your life to change. The subconscious it's stubborn, guys. It's stubborn because it is built up from a lot of past perceptions and it gets fortified over time. It gets like stronger over time. So there will be people who, like, let's say an extreme point, they refuse to wear a certain color shoes because when they wore those color shoes, something really bad happened to them. And boom, they're charged on it and it's stuck in their subconscious. And their reticular activation system, if they put on those color shoes, let's say they're red, let's say they put on these red shoes, they are going to be looking for problems everywhere. Their subconscious is like, the shoe color's on. The shoe color's on. Find the problems. You know what I'm saying? Even I do this, okay? Because like I said, I'm not exempt from this stuff. I do this. In Toronto, there's a highway called the 401. It's always packed, right? So I get on the 401 assuming it's going to be packed because my charges and my mind are like, this is going to be packed. And my wife is like, can you stop thinking that? You know what I mean? And when I don't think about the 401 being packed, it's actually smooth sailing. Right? It's actually smooth sailing. So there's that. It's called a comfort zone for a reason. Absolutely. I'll be changing that belief too. Yep. I need to give myself permission to leave my comfort zone. 100%. That is a really good word to use as well. Permission. I give myself permission to, etc. Because a lot of the times we give ourselves permissions to not do things, right? Or exclusions to not do things. I don't do this. I can't do this. I won't do this. It's far easier for people to say than I will or I can do this, right? Love how you provide these deep dives with your perspectives. Thank you, man. Luck of the Irish. Once in my life, I want to fly first class. Yeah, do it. Do it. These people don't sponsor me, but I need my kombucha today. Yeah, experience it. I'll say this, guys. The money I spent within my life so far, when I was spending what I would consider a lot more money, I was never under the impression that I was no longer going to have money, at least within that time. If you think you're never going to get paid again, then don't spend anything. Remember, it's always a balance. It's not about keeping everything. Sometimes you got to spend some money. There's people that have resentments or regrets in their life because they didn't spend money on stuff. There's a YouTuber I watch. He's a minimalist and a finance guy. Can't remember his name now, but I recently found his channel. And he said he and his wife didn't spend anything on their wedding, and his wife got her wedding dress at a thrift store, right? because they just wanted to save money so much. And he said, "Hey man, I regret that. I wish we had spent some money on that because we had the money, right?" So he's going to set up like a new ceremony with their friends and family and whatnot because they want to experience it. And at the end of the day, you got to experience life, right? If you hoard all your money, you don't get to experience life. If you spend all your money, yeah, you'll get to have experiences, but you'll also have dread in the back of your mind. So life's about balance. Do you have anything that deals with just the mindset? I have no problems with making money, but I think mindset is the next thing I need to work on. Yes, 100%. Mentality is really all of it. Um, if you look at my Gumroad store, there is the Rig Reality Recode. That's a lot of mindset stuff. In the next realm, I have my Fear Breaker process, right? Where I help people break those mental barriers around earning money. There's a process I bring people through um, that you can do it on your own, but it's something I teach. And yeah, that's in the next realm. What other mindset related stuff? I have a whole bunch of mindset related stuff, but yeah, the Rig Reality Recode would be like if you want the quickest, like you can purchase that now and just go. It would be Rig Reality Recode. It also has some charge cancellation exercises in it, but not as in depth as the Fear Breaker tool. You have the power to make it happen. That's right. Red shoes make me a mad magnet. What a belief to have. I hate the 401. Yeah, the 401's always packed. My, you see, what I gotta work on is making sure to not get charged about the 401 no more because my wife is pregnant and can go into labor anytime. She's like 35 weeks pregnant, could be 36 because no one really ever really knows these things totally, right? So she can go into labor at any time. But we have to go along the 401 to get her to the hospital that we need to go to. So I'm like, 401, just cooperate with me. Yep. The only thing good about Toronto is seeing it through the rearview mirror. Yeah, I live in the suburbs. I live in the suburbs and I try to not go into the city. I'm not a city guy. There's people who love downtown though. Like I could never live downtown. That I shouldn't say never, but I wouldn't want to live downtown because I'm just not that guy. I'm like very introverted and secluded most of the time. So downtown's just too busy for me. But yeah, any other questions? It is 8:04, 8:05 soon. If there's no more questions or comments, I will hop off and I will see y'all next week. This will be uploaded and you'll be able to look it over and take notes. And just remember, get the Value Finder tool, get on my email list. Just email me the word special to any of the emails you get from me. Just email me the word special. I will reserve you the special price for the next round because it's going to be less than it is now. And or if you're in my Telegram, message me in my Telegram just with the word special. I'll reserve it for you because some crazy, crazy things are coming to the next round. I'm in, I don't even know how to say that, the Thousand Islands. Okay, very cool. I don't even know how to say that. I'm not one of those people that pretends like I know certain things. That just reminded me one time. I'll share this story with you. I don't know why I'm sharing this story, but whatever. I was at a dinner one time in Vegas, with some high rollers, like some rich people, and we're eating at this restaurant, and there's certain ways that you're supposed to put the forks and certain etiquette and blah blah blah. And this guy asked me, he's like, "Have you ever had tartar?" I'm like, "No, I don't know. I don't know what that is." Like a lot of people will be like, "Yeah, I definitely have," because they want to fit in and pretend like they're part of the crowd of these people who are used to this. I'm like, I don't know what this is. As a matter of fact, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with all these forks. He's like, and he just laughed. He laughed because I was just being authentic and I didn't have shame about it. That's the thing. Like people have shame about these things. I didn't have shame about it. I was like, listen, man, I grew up broke. I don't know about this stuff. And he just laughed about it and he said, hey, man, this is what you do. And tartar is like some raw, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. You know, so sometimes not having shame can be a connecting point for people. He'll always remember that. So, yeah, man. I will. Oh, Kingston. Okay, nice. Yeah. Oh, I have a story about Kingston, which is in Ontario, Canada. So when I used to be in the music industry as an artist, right? There was this girl named Chelsea Stewart who was a singer, and I did a couple shows with her. And her mother would manage her. I don't know if her mother's managing her now, but so so yeah, her mother would manage her, and they had a show out in Kingston, right? And this show needed some like other people on it or whatnot. And this show changed my life because it taught me a very important lesson. So Chelsea and her mother would print these CDs and they would sell them to people, right? Now I was selling CDs too because at that time, if you were in the music biz and you were like really serious about it, you had your little CDs printed and you were selling them. So they would sell, but they didn't have a fixed price. They let people pay what they thought it was worth. I said, okay. If you like, sometimes people pay a little bit of money, sometimes people pay ridiculous amounts of money. And they said, hey, Seth, you want to come do this show in Kingston with us? I go, yeah, of course. They drove me out to Kingston, which was nice of them because I was taking the bus at the time. I didn't know how I was going to get to Kingston. So we go, she performs, I perform, start selling my CDs, right? People at this venue in Kingston. And selling a CD, get like $2 here, $5 here, $10 here. This one guy said, hey man, did you enjoy my performance? He's like, yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. Greatest thing I ever seen. I'm like, you want to buy a CD? You get to hear more of the music. He's like, absolutely. And he just reached into his pocket and he gave me $100. Gave me $100. And that was a very important lesson for me because it taught me that certain things are more valuable to certain people. My music to that guy was very valuable. To other people, not so much. But if you can find the people in the world who resonate with what it is you do, they will pay you accordingly for it because they value it a lot. And with that being said, I'm logging off. I'll see y'all in the next one. If you got questions, save them for next week. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.